Hello, hello, hello. We're back. And guess what? Somebody else is back. Big league in the house.
Hi guys. Look,
Guns
I'm so
blazing.
back that my background isn't even blurred anymore. I'm gonna go ahead and blur that.
Well, welcome to this week's edition of Shenanigans with the LLC. I believe that the notorious Lamar will be joining us as soon as he can. But we're going to get started here. First of all, KOP, you good?
Shoes back. Of course I'm good.
Oh, there you go. And the governor, we know the governor's always good. So we don't have to worry about that, right? Just status quo with the governor, right? All right, so let's jump in. So we have seen like a lot of very good, like great performances on the track and on the road, and a lot of it has been attributed to the shoes, right? New track surfaces and all that stuff. But we haven't seen that kind of performances in the field events. Obviously you've got Ryan, you got Mondo, and some others that are doing special things, but it's not the large group of people. What do we attribute that to? Like, are the shoes really that big of a difference? And if they are, like, is the long jump shoe just not triple jump shoe not caught up to the sprint shoe? Governor, I mean, you being the field event guru, have at it.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So, if you have a look at the recent trends, obviously road racing, distance running, the sprints, somewhat in the 400, definitely the 800. We've seen major improvements all around. I think the issue that we're dealing with right now is that the shoes put the athletes in certain positions. And if you are not able to master or work with the position that is optimal for the shoe, listen to what I'm saying now. It's not what's optimal for you, right? The shoes are built to do certain things if you use them in certain ways. And okay. So if you are not able to use the shoe in the proper way, then chances are it's not going to pay dividends. It's not lost on me that if you look at the jumps, for example, Puma and Adidas, I would say Puma and Adidas, by and large, have had a lot of success. The Adidas shoe hasn't been changed that much, right? They've added a little bit more cushioning to the heel. The Puma shoe is newer, but it's a very stiff shoe, and also has a lot of support. But the Nike shoe has that bubble in it. Again, if you know how to do it and you know how to take off in the right position, you should get some payoff. I just don't think, I think it comes down to what kind of athlete are you, okay? I mean, I think the biggest example we've seen is what Shelly Ann has done with that Nike shoe, and how Shelly Ann has changed the way she runs because the Nike shoe puts her in certain positions, right? It's much harder, in my opinion, when you are setting up to take off in the jumps, and it doesn't matter there's a certain way to do it, right? There's a certain way to set up your penultimate. There's a certain way to set up your takeoff. If the shoe is setting you up for being up on it's not good. It's not a good thing. So I don't think that it makes that much of a difference, because you have to be able to jump the way you're supposed to jump.
So go ahead, KOP, and I'll chime in.
I think that is extremely well said. He's absolutely right. The shoes are that big of a deal. The shoes do make a huge difference. I think what the super shoes, if you will, have exposed in the jumps, especially the horizontal jumps, is how technically inefficient the majority of jumpers are. And the lower the level, the worse it gets. So college kid X, the majority; high school kid X, the majority. they go and spend the money on the super shoe, which of course is the whole point, and it's not going to help them because they're in bad positions, taking off poorly anyway.
Yes.
But everybody's going to make their money. Like I said, when we first got our hands on the original Nike shoe, oh, you can't tell me the shoe don't make a difference.
Right.
It was instantly obvious the difference it could make for technically efficient sprinters.
Right.
And if you're not that, it might harm you a little bit. But at the professional level, most people can make those adjustments, and Shelly Ann is the perfect example of changing what needs to be changed to benefit what is there to be benefited from.
Right.
In the same spec, the takeoff angles and positions in the hurdles, the shoes have helped a few people massively, but not the majority, because there's so much inefficiency in hurdling as well.
Well, and what I was going to add to it was the field events, specifically the jumps, not necessarily the throws, but the throws as well. We had the super shoe first because we're not jumping in sprint spikes. Like, we've already made the alterations to make it so that we can do it at a better rate or a better efficiency, even though we're not completely efficient. Like those, I don't know. I mean, okay, rewind. The triple jump shoes that I jumped in college are similar to the shoes that we were looking at now. So that evolution happened way back then, however many years ago that was for me. And here we are now. I think as a whole, we can't make any more big adjustments to specifically the jump shoe. I think there's going to be an adjustment to the throw shoes, without having a major consequence. Like, we can't test on humans. I mean, we can, but we can't. But like the evolution of the Jav boot and how that's kind of gone backwards, because you've got a population who likes the boot and then the bootleg high jump shoe.
Right.
So
are we saying that this now becomes a coaching issue, or is it a talent issue?
Well,
or is it both?
Well, the question that is out there in the ether, and the question that even our esteemed Sebco has brought up, is that they are going to revisit super shoes after Paris, right? They're going to take a look at, whether or not it's viable to keep this going, et cetera, et cetera. And, I think what Big League was getting at, what Clyde was getting at, is that, are we moving towards changing the way that we should approach the long jump? Are we moving towards changing the way we should take off in the triple jump? I think not. I think we've seen the limits of human beings already without the shoes. Perhaps we're talking about minute changes, little itty bitty details that we need to work on. And that's going to require a sports scientist. That's going to require a very keen eye to say, hey, maybe you need to change your angle. Maybe you need to change certain things. And I think the improvements may be in the 1% point, 2% point. But I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference until we get the caliber of jumpers that we used to have.
Okay.
Yeah, our best jumpers ain't jumping. That's just true. So I don't think there's enough space opportunity for the super shoes to affect the horizontal jumps as the distance shoes have affected distance running, or that the sprint spikes have affected sprinting. I think distance running has been taken to a whole nother level, and there's plenty of evidence to support that. The sprints have been affected, but not at the massive scale that the distance running has.
When you talk about space, what do you mean by space?
So I don't know what I don't know, and maybe it's just I don't have the imagination. I don't know what you can do with a shoe short of something illegal to massively improve the horizontal jumps. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to put a spring in the damn thing, right?
Mhm.
And a spring wouldn't necessarily help you anyway.
Mhm.
So, you know, short of something like that, I don't think the shoes are ultimately going to affect the jumping that much.
So what I'm hearing is that you guys feel like it's going to have to become a coaching issue, and teaching the athletes to get in the right positions or basically get in the position that the shoe is requiring you to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So it's going to take some technical adjustments. Is what I'm hearing.
I mean, like in a very technical sense, it might mean slowing down. It might mean slowing down your takeoff to make full use of the
There's
shoe.
no bleeds.
You
Yeah.
know, because there are many schools of thought when it comes to the jumps, and I know we're keying in on the horizontals, but we talk about speed, 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 speed. If the shoe has some sort of trampoline effect, and you keep missing that by just rolling over the takeoff, rolling over this, why are you even using the shoe, right? So those are things that, I mean, it would really, like, you'd have to really spend some time and do repeat and repeat and repeat, and then until you see that position that you're looking for, and then you're trying to replicate it again and again and again. And that's the part that I don't know.
So we're trying to find that sweet spot.
Yes,
Exact.
because
Okay,
that's
that
what
exact
that's
angle.
what it's going to cost. That's what it's going to take.
Okay. All right. World champion, you're a little late to the party. You have anything you want to add to this before we move on?
Just nothing really big. I just think that KST touched on it. The speed is a huge component in jumping further, but you can never lose sight that, especially in the long and triple jump, it's maximum controllable speed.
Yes.
Right. So just making the athletes faster, and trust me, there's a whole lot of people making a whole lot of people faster now, right? But that means that the whole mechanics, the hinge moment that has to happen, still has to happen. It just has to happen faster and more efficiently, and that's the difficulty.
That's the difficult part. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard jump coaches say, "Well, I'm going to add 2 steps to their approach." Well, you just added more velocity to the takeoff, and then
Yes.
they don't jump anywhere near as far. Yeah, because they can't handle the speed, and it ends up being a big issue. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next topic. Okay. So in light of Elaine Thompson's situation with her now former coach and the issues with what the coach wanted to charge or was reportedly wanted to charge Elaine, where do we stand on this issue? What do we feel is a fair compensation for coaches at that level? World champion? Have at it.
So somehow I figured I was going to end up going first here. Okay, so I personally believe, so that you don't ever get yourself in the weeds, it's most important to either charge a nominal monthly fee that everybody can pay and then work percentages off of people's contracts, or just go flat out percentages and don't coach anybody without contracts. I think other than that, you get yourself in these really weird situations in your group where you're training 4 people and they're all paying you way differently, and then that becomes an issue. But for me, I guess the simple answer is, I think 10 to 15% of what an athlete makes is what a professional track and field coach should be charging. The issue therein becomes that that's what their agents are charging them, which is insane. But the athletes, for some reason, get that they should pay their agents, don't get that their agents are getting paid way more than their coaches are getting paid. But at the end, I get it. If I make $1 and 30 cents of it goes out the window as soon as I make it, not including what the government takes, you feel like you're running for nothing. But for some reason, they will underpay the coach, but always pay the agent. But that's because the agents get paid by the shoe companies and everybody else first. The money usually goes through the agent. So the agent takes their cut.
And
But-
you do
but
understand though that the athlete can tell the shoe company to send the money to them.
Of
But
course,
they
I
just
do.
they just don't, right? Yeah.
The
Right.
general, I'm explaining this to the general, right? Everybody on this panel
Right.
knows how it works, but yes, I mean, at the end of the day, what I think is fair compensation is, depending on the ilk of the coach, 10% to 15%.
This is
And I think that just makes sense, right? Because then everybody's incentivized.
I don't imagine you're going to get a lot of variety from us on this issue. I will say that this is one of the issues that just quintessentially defines how unprofessional our professional version of this is. I'm going to throw a quick question to the world champion, since he is currently working in this space in another capacity. Sir, what is the standard or official allowance for agents in the baseball space?
It's 5%.
Exactly. And if you talk to NFL agents or NBA agents, it's the same 5%.
Yeah, 5% is the ceiling.
Right, the ceiling. Exactly. But legally defined as the ceiling. And of course, we're talking about athletes that make tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. So the 5% is awesome, right? But that's the issue. That regulation didn't come because the quarterbacks decided it, right? That comes from the union that sets these standards and makes everything the way it is meant to be. The idea that there are track and field agents taking up to 20% is wild to me. And it is only allowed to happen that way, one, because there are no union collectively bargaining for the athletes' rights, and two, because the athletes are too ignorant to do anything about it. Most of them, 98% of them. I know athletes that have taken the bull by the horns, like, actually, you're going to get 5% and you can eat it. And the agents had to do so if athlete X was important enough at the time that they wanted it to stay on the roster, right? But coaches obviously should be getting between 10 and 15%. Now, in my time working with professional athletes, I've done it a few different ways. I've done it both ways that the world champion suggested. I did, here's a flat rate monthly that I'm going to minimally be paid. And on top of that, X percentage of whatever we accomplish together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with that. I wouldn't have a problem with the coach saying, you have a contract, you get paid $100K a year. I want 15%. I want 10%. Straight up, no matter what we accomplish together. Because athletes have bonuses and incentives and rollovers and all these things. And at one point in my career, when I was literally trying to help people who I cared about, it was, you know what? I have a job. I'm a college coach. I have a salary. You don't have to pay me anything up front, but I'm going to take X percentage of whatever we accomplish together. If you get a $20,000 bonus for accomplishment X, run me my 15% of that. And I think all of those versions are fair. One of the more interesting concepts that has come to fruition in the last couple of years is when Altus said, we're going to set a flat rate, $6,000 a year, pay us that. And that was a volume play, because at one point they had 50, 60, 70 athletes out there, right? So that made sense. As that model has dwindled down to a much smaller group, I'm pretty sure they've had to change that up, or no one's going to be able to eat. So there is no standard model. There should be. And I'm pretty sure everybody here is going to say somewhere between 10 and 15%.
I don't know what you got.
Absolutely. That's it's been, I mean, we've been in this business now for well over 30, 40 years. And really, when it comes down to the agent fee, that has not changed much. That has not changed much at all. There's always been a gentleman's agreement. There's always been this, you know, hey, this is what it is. This is a going rate. This is what I can do for you. Let's go. Coaches have always gotten the short end of the stick, in my opinion, because there has not been a gentleman's agreement. There has not been a firm, hey, as your coach and as you move up the ladder in the sport, this is what I'm worth to you. And I've had this discussion with I don't know how many coaches where, you know, the question arises, who is more important, right? Who is making sure you're ready at the dance, as opposed to who is getting you invited to the dance, right? And the question that's out there is, well, could you do it yourself? Could you actually pick up the phone, send an email? If you're that good, they're going to want you there, right? So all those things have always been, I mean, we're talking about 30, 40, 50 years in our sport where there's always been a debate over what a coach is worth, right? I see nothing wrong with 10 to 15%, right? Especially if you've got incentives in your contract, right? And I, as a coach, am helping you achieve those incentives. I would think that I should get some percentage of those incentives.
Big league.
I'm not privy and savvy to the numbers because I'm very toenail into this body of water, but the numbers sound logical to me. The concepts and the principles sound right. And my first thought was what Clyde said is, you know, this is where we falter on what we call professionalism, is because there isn't a standard, and because a lot of our population coaches with their heart won't charge anybody because the athlete's not making money, which that's warm and fuzzy and cuddly, and that's the great thing to do as a human. But we just keep snowballing this. So it's going to take a very strong-hearted, strong-willed, and strong personality to say, like, this has to stop. A payment has to be made, and maybe they can't afford the 5%. So maybe it's, you know, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even want to say that maybe it's a barter, because you don't want to barter because then you're still propelling this, but it's got to be something. Got to be something, because that's what makes it worth it.
Yeah. Like, I think the word professionalism is huge here. There really is no professionalism. An athlete who doesn't even have a shoe deal or a bonus deal from a shoe company is allowed to say, I'm a professional track and field athlete, because they can go enter the, you know, get into a local relay meet and run in some Nike gear that they bought. You know, that's an issue. The value of the coach has always been undervalued by I think the athletes, by the agents, by the shoe companies. I think the shoe companies have figured it out over the years, but they've got their camps they like to send people to. And so I think the issue for me is like, again, the value of the coach. Like how much do you really value your coach? You know, I had this discussion recently with an agent. So athlete X started off at this amount. They have now gotten a raise, which therefore means you've gotten a raise. But guess who didn't get a raise?
That's right.
My pay is the same, but I'm the guy that's driving the bus.
Right.
And they looked at me like I had two hits, like, wow, I never thought about that. Well, I thought about it. So
that breeze that came through told me that.
Exactly right. You know, exactly. You know, so it's like at the end of the day, that's where it stands. And I mean, the numbers that were reported that Elaine's coach was asking for is kind of crazy, right? And that, you know, because if that's true, that means Elaine's making a whole lot of money. We need to get on that train somehow. But at the end of the day, I think that something's got to be done over time, because if the athlete gives the coach 15% and the agent 15%, Uncle Sam's gonna get their 20.
Oh yeah.
Now half their money's gone.
Half their money's
gone. Remember that was the issue with Jeremy Werner. Like that was why he and Clyde, you know, stopped working together, because he was given between his agent and his coach and Uncle Sam, he had no money left.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And so it was easier for him to, you know, cut the coaching ties, and then it didn't work out very well for him. So.
No.
So I think that,
just a fun fact in this: what is required to be a certified agent in this sport has become professionalized under the umbrella of World Athletics, and the cost to the agent used to be a lot more. So their prices are going down to get in this business and be solidified. And it's all under the umbrella of World Athletics, but not the coaches.
Right.
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 World champion, we're getting ready to say something?
Well, yeah. So it was kind of along those lines. Like we talk about professionalism, but Clyde's point, like, really and truly has to be driven home. The reason it is the way it is because the agents are actually unionized, right? All the meet promoters and directors are collusionary. So that is a old boy network version of a union, right? They collectively bargain and
quiet part out loud, right there.
Right. Like, look, guys, like,
always has been.
The biggest and most important thing that happens in our sport happens for free, right? You win the Olympics and there is no monetary value directly attached to it. So we can start right there, right? The fact that the world championships, the world athletics, again, I say this all the time, governing bodies have nothing to do unless the athletes allow themselves to be governed. World athletics is still paying the best athletes in the world the same money they were paying them 20 years ago. Right. But it happens because they won't unionize and they don't collectively bargain. And so they don't move the needle. The agents get their 10 to 20, right? Because they have collectively bargained for what is fair to protect their own careers.
That's right.
It's insane. But there's nothing we can do about it, any of us, because we don't put spikes on anymore. Like, none of us run anymore. So all we can do is what the generations have always done, right? We get the experience, we give the knowledge backwards, but it's for those who still have spikes on to unionize and do.
Right. Like, basically, there are no rules.
Nope.
There are no
it's the Wild West.
rules.
I was going to say it's the Wild West.
It is literally the Wild West.
And what's crazy is this sport, because of the way money is generated in this sport, the athletes literally have all of the power. If they just decided we're not going to show up, track meets are not the NFL and NBA that have TV money to fall back on. If nobody comes, they don't sell a ticket. If they don't sell tickets, they can't pay their bills for this year because none of them have 4 and 5 and 6 years worth of money in arrears, right? Most of them are they're eating hand to mouth. So at the end of the day, like, if the athletes would literally just realize their own power, there would be baseline shoe contracts, there would be 10 times more sponsors, and there would be way more money in their pockets.
Minimum appearance fees. Oh my gosh, let's not even go there.
And again, we've beat this subject up a bunch, right? But their membership needs to have its privileges. Everybody in the world can't be a pro.
Right.
Just that simple. And look, you're going to have to draw the line. You have to be in a room with some people and piss some people off and say the top 25 or the top 30 in the world are professionals. Everybody behind you, you're something else. You're club
relegated.
level.
You're relegated.
You're club level, right? And you can look, you're not relegated forever, but it's not the sport's job to get you there, right? You make what you make in the G League. You have to be special in the G League to get a 10-day contract. Your 10-day contract, you had to figure out in that 10 days how to make yourself relevant to stay in the league. That's it.
No, those are great points. And again, I think like you shouldn't see a guy that you watched run 10:55 at the Florida Relay show up in a meet in Europe because his agent knows somebody, right?
Exactly.
Facts.
Exactly. Yeah. So
you shouldn't see people running around the sport that have medals and no contracts. Like these things shouldn't happen.
Yeah. But they do on a consistent basis.
They do on a consistent basis.
Olympic champion that's on a bonus deal. That's the craziest thing ever. Yeah. Young man that was 5th in the world championships 2 years in a row, making $40,000 a year.
I got one for you. And this happened very, very recently. Young man is on a bonus deal with an in clause by the shoe contract. Wins world championships. And rather than do what's right, the shoe contract does what exactly the contract says, and they opt in. So the following year, he is still for free.
Wow.
Has a world championship,
Wow.
but he is still on $0.00 and bonuses. They paid all the bonuses, but he signed the contract.
Right.
Or she signed the contract, right? It's not their fault.
Because the agent is awesome.
Right?
Right, yeah.
But here's the problem, right? You're gonna take zero salary and bonuses over nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Right? The unfortunate part was to take zero salary and bonuses and an opt-in year, because now you're not betting on yourself. You're playing stupid. Right? That's got, you got, if you're gonna sign a $0 and bonuses contract, it has to be 1 year at a time.
Mhm.
Because you have to have the right to renegotiate the following year.
So that's a bad one. That may be the worst story I've ever heard
Hurts.
right there.
Yeah, that one hurts.
Yes, that one. Yeah.
It's real. I didn't make it up.
All right, speaking of real, let's talk the men's 100. The last three majors have been won by Jacobs, Fred, and Noah. Do we view any of these men as the favorite for Paris? And if we don't, even if we do view them as the favorites, who are the challengers to the throne in this situation? Like, who do you guys see as some people other than these three that may jump up in there and make some noise? I mean, it's the Olympic year, so it's going to happen, right? There's going to be like Jacobs out of nowhere. There's going to be a new kid on the block. Right. So, Governor, what you got for us, man?
Oh boy.
I know you did a deep dive. I know you did. I know you did.
Well, the thing about this is 2 out of those 3 athletes you mentioned are now in new camps.
Mhm.
And anybody, that on this panel that understands track and field knows that there are going to be some nuances, there are going to be some changes that will take effect, some good, some bad. And the respective coaches are now going to have to take on this huge responsibility, because both of those athletes have done some major things in their careers, right? So the only one that is staying with his coach is Noah, right?
Yep, he's status quo.
And he's status quo. The train keeps going down the track. He's been very consistent. He dropped down into the 100. He won the double, a historic double. And I have to think that if things are the way that they should be in terms of staying consistent, training, just getting stronger, getting faster, working on your technique, that sort of thing, I cannot bet against Noah at this point. I cannot. He's a world champion. He's going into the Olympic year, and until somebody proves that they're better, I think he's the guy. Now, the outside guy that we've all seen just fits and starts, and we've seen moments of brilliance, is Christian Coleman. And health, where he is now with his coaching situation, his training environment, all of that, all of the noise and the distractions are behind him. I mean, let's call it what it is. The man is still world class. He is still capable of doing some amazing things. But as I said before, I have to stay with Noah at this point.
Okay. Big Lee, what you got?
And I have everything that the governor just said. So, but I'll say this, but the coaching changes are the biggest things, the things that make you go, because typically our first reaction is like, oh, that's not a great move.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of been the overall assumption. But I mean, of all people, Fred is one to prove you wrong.
Oh yeah.
This guy's not blue, it's whatever it is. So, I mean, I'm interested to see that, knowing the character that we see him in the light that we see him in, knowing him from the conversations that we have in practice and whatnot, he's not backing down. You know, if he runs the race, it's going to be 100%. So that, I think Christian Coleman is someone that we need to make sure we still remember. I think Olympics wise, internationally, there's always someone who we kind of forget. So I'm wondering who we've forgotten at this point. Who have we not factored in that's kind of just been close, but not close. So Clyde's got it. And I that's what my mind has been trying to get to, and I couldn't do it. And I even pulled up rankings list, and that didn't help. So
All right, Clyde, what do you got?
I have absolutely no one as, quote, the favorite, first of all. Correct me if I'm wrong, bigger nerds than me. But the last person in the men's 100 that went back to back, if you will, meaning Olympics, Worlds, Olympics, was Bolt. Since the exit of Bolt, there hasn't been a dominant figure in the men's 100. There's been a lot of talented people, and all of these people are talented. I agree that Christian Coleman is a threat. I got two more threats for you, Tobogo and Zarnell Hughes. But are any of them a favorite? Absolutely not. If you change coaches in an Olympic year, am I going to label you a favorite? Absolutely not. So on consistency, if you want to say that Noah's in the driver's seat because he's the most recent champion and he hasn't changed coaches, I understand that argument and I'm here for it. But Noah just won. And he didn't win in any kind of overwhelming, dominating favor. No. So I think the 100 is as wide open as it's ever been. And the smart money says you're going to have a new champion. Whoever that may be, no clue.
So you're betting the field.
Oh, I'm definitely field all day.
World champion.
Well,
what you got?
I mean, I think you can only take the field in the event, right? But I think this is kind of one of those not pick'ems, but nobody's an overwhelming favorite by any means. If I was the odds maker, probably on day one, I'd probably make Christian Coleman the favorite because he's got the least amount of turmoil and his seasons have been ascending since coming back from suspension. Right, I can deal with a move from Kentucky to South Carolina. That ain't a big deal if you're going with the same coach and the same program and the same plan. But again, it ain't like I wouldn't also say, well, Tobogo hasn't changed anything and he's younger and obviously ascending, right? And you can make that argument for almost everybody that we've named. So I don't think there's an overwhelming favorite by any means. Again, the day one favorite, which is we're probably still talking minimal favorites over anybody else, is probably Christian. But the Zarnell Hughes one that's a really interesting one, right? Because he did some pretty good things last year in year one of a change. Yes. And I think all of us agree, if you move to the right place, year two is going to be better than year one.
Right.
Right. So if we assume that he's in the right place, he's going to be better this year than last.
Here's let me add this for you guys. Okay, one, just like Fred, Noah's one to beat the odds, right? He's another guy that says, "Hey, I'm going to show you I can do it." But what about the young Jamaican guys? Like, where you guys stand with them? I mean, they've got 3 or 4 guys that 980 high, 990 low.
I only like one of them.
Okay.
Is it Seville?
Oblique Seville?
Yeah.
Or Team Blake.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here for the Seville debate, not the rest of them.
Okay.
I like Seville because he got his nose bloodied a couple times on the circuit last year. So and took a scalp or two too. So I like Seville to be a finalist. And honestly, guys, I think we all would agree. If we knew who the 8 finalists are, we still wouldn't put money on any of them.
Nope.
Governor, what are your thoughts on the Jamaicans?
Well, if you look at Seville's record last year, I mean, he ran his fastest time in Budapest. And He ran 10 flat, 10:07, 991, 990, 988. Right? That's what you want to see, right? Especially moving into the championships and moving through the rounds. So I think, again, out of those the three Jamaicans, I think right now he's got to feel good about going into that battle and feeling good about making it to the final and making some noise. Obviously, nerves, your disposition, being able to execute under pressure, all those things, account to make a big step towards winning. Budapest was a great proving ground for him. So I'm pretty excited about his prospects in Paris.
Okay. Big League, what are your thoughts on the Jamaicans?
I like Seville as well. And I think when we first saw his name kind of become relevant a couple years ago, it was exciting because he was young, he was vibrant and everything is still going in the same direction.
Mhm.
I almost said Johan Blake. Oh my gosh, Akeem Blake. Like, went a little quiet for a little bit. And so, we're a sport that you've got to follow the trend because the trend says something. You can't just ignore it. It can't be a one-off, right? That's not how we recruit. That's not how we operate. That's not how we pay ourselves. So, not to say that he can't be coming up and ascending this year, but then we're hoping it happens at the Olympics, or Seville has set himself up to do it at the Olympics. And so I don't know if you guys know this. I've got the list up right now. They're number 8 and number 9.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. World
I had a
champion, you had
question.
your hand up. Okay.
Is Mr. Knighton going to be running the 100 this year?
I'll have to talk to his coach. I'll get back to you.
Can you send us a text or email later and let us know what his coach says? Because I may want to adjust my answer given what information we get back.
Okay, so along those lines, a way too early prediction here.
Oh boy.
Who do we think is gonna make the U.S. men's team in the 100?
Oh,
in the 100?
Lord.
Yeah. You started this. Yeah, you should have kept your mouth shut, huh? Come on, KO.
We only got to pick 3, right?
It's only 3 make the team.
Yikes.
KLP, kick this off for us, man.
Who's this?
I say KOP.
KOP.
Me?
KOP.
I gotta go first. Okay. I mean,
In no particular order.
Serious now.
In no particular order. Coleman and Lyles, I have making the team. After that, I mean, Jesus Christ.
Come on, man.
Need to read you the names in descending order.
Sure.
No.
I'm looking at them like, geez.
I mean, golly, I don't know. Coleman, Lyles, and God. You know what? Coleman, Lyles, and Charleston. Come through, young man.
All right.
Big League, get off the list and give me 3 names.
So that was my 3 names, and I looked it up to make sure I wasn't forgetting any. So looking at the list, right? So I'm pulling a governor.
Hey, I just asked you to get off the list.
But I'm giving stats.
Give me 3 names.
If Chewy gives me the same answers, then I know.
Oh, I'm giving you the same answer. It is the same answer.
No,
That's who came to my head.
That's your answer. Okay. All right, governor. Because Chew was about to do a governor deep dive. We can't do that.
I was there.
Governor, you're rubbing off on her, man. Come on.
Oh God.
I've got energy stockpiled.
I will say Lyles, Coleman, and I say there's a return of epic proportions from Mr. Bromell.
All right. World champion?
I guess you guys are all assuming Fred's not running. So I'm going to assume that he is. So I'm going to go with Coleman, Lyles, and Fred.
Okay.
Now,
block starter
I will. It doesn't matter to make the
Oh,
team.
please,
KOP,
no.
stop. It's too soon. It's too
Oh, my
soon.
goodness.
We
The
can go with
wound's
one
still
spike
open,
on
man.
to
It's
make the
Season
too
hasn't
team.
soon.
started yet, man. We're not
Yeah,
even in
geez.
May yet. Easy, man.
Wow.
I will say this: if he doesn't run, I'm going to pick the youngster because I think the youngster's actually going to run the 100.
Okay.
Talk
Carry
to us,
on.
coach, and find out.
He's picking Knight.
Yeah,
I'm just saying this. Look,
I went there too.
Don't nobody at me because I don't know nothing. That's why he looks like that. This is my guess. I do not
Yeah,
have any
'cause
insider information.
He is still in the
Kind of
weight
peer
room,
pressure.
so we don't know what he's running.
But
trying to feel-
assuming
Yeah,
that
I
they
did
all
find
ran,
it
I'm
interesting
picking
that
Fred.
that Fred wasn't mentioned early in the conversation, nor Bromell. I thought that was interesting, because Bromell is with Raina still, right?
Yes,
They mended that marriage, and
yes.
that's a problem because now he has a training partner with Jacobs. So, and when you talk about with Raina, their first year back is usually the big one, right? So, that'll be interesting.
I mean,
and
listen, sleeper pick for sure. The guy that everybody has forgotten about is Marvin Bracey.
No, that was my, should I say Marvin Bracey? Like that was the name.
The only reason I
he
picked
changed
Fred,
he changed coaches. Marvin changed coaches,
and that's why I didn't do
it. I know.
Right.
That's why I said he's a sleeper because we have no idea what that's going to look like. Like we literally have no idea.
That camp, my gosh, wow, yeah. I can't wait to see the fireworks. I really can't.
Yeah.
So I want to do this, and maybe I'll let's do it personally and share it with y'all at some point. I want to write down everybody who's in what camps, right, that has moved this year, and then see how they do this year. Because listen, we've talked about this a couple times on the show. Even if you move to the right place in the Olympic year, it is a dodgy proposition.
It is.
Right.
I'm here for the petty tracker. I'm here for it.
And see, and that's when we just talked about. That's where the importance of the coach comes in, right? Like, we have to give Raina his props in the fact that year one with that guy is usually like the breakout year, and not that year two is. I'm not saying year two is bad. So, as world champion said, don't start at me. That's what I said.
He does a spectacular job with year one. He really does.
Exactly right. He does the deep dive. He figures it out, and year one is spectacular in most cases. So that's why I think the Jacobs experience is interesting, and because Jacobs is there, and Bromell's coming off a year when he's been a little dinged up, you know that dude's gonna fight back, right? So that creates some fireworks, and like the governor said, the Dennis Mitchell camp, wow, it's just. I can just tell you like this: if you want to see an Olympic preview, just come to Tom Jones
this year.
That's right. Because in Tokyo, six or seven of the 8 finalists all trained in Florida.
Man. Clyde, will you be there?
We will be there.
Oh yeah.
You telling me Big League you'll be there? Oh, see, y'all killing me now. Okay.
Well, you're killing yourself. You didn't even ask.
Hey! Give me a minute. Give me some time.
He even asked to go. How's it my fault? You didn't even ask for an invite.
Oh, Lord. I got some politicking to do. Thank you.
So clearly, I think we're all excited about the prospects of the men's 100, the U.S. and abroad as well. And I think that for me, like there's just nothing like the Olympic year, man.
No.
Like from the middle school up to the professionals, they're gonna get after it this year. So it's gonna be fun to watch.
I mean, look, the last Olympic year we had, right? We got Ariane Knight. Like to that point, right? Like there's somebody whose name we don't really, really know right now, or somebody who we're not really, really thinking about right now. It's going to be on the team. It's going to happen.
It just depends on the event, right?
I mean, no, and there's no question it's going to happen. It has happened at every single Olympic team.
So on top of the athletes that we're speaking about, and this is me nerding on the other level, I'm excited to see the coaching that's going to happen and who's doing the coaching, and if a group is going to be prominent or if it's going to be less group, more singletons or individuals rather than the whole group. knowing that we've had significant changes in athletes who moved, and then we've had a few coaches who are relocating, things of that nature. So I'm excited to kind of see how those are going to pan out as well, and then what the trickle effect is after that.
That will be interesting. It will. All right, so KOP, you ready? Question and answer time, my friend. I'm going to respectfully ask you to behave. I know you're not going to, but I figured I'd waste my words anyway, right? All right. So, what movie would you say resembles your life the most?
I have thought about that for 2 good weeks, and I don't have a solid answer for you on that.
Okay.
My life is odd, and Hollywood has not figured out a way to encapsulate it properly. So I feel like I'm just gonna have to get somebody to write that tale myself.
Okay.
Jesus
so we're just gonna say it
Christ.
was odd, right? Okay. Hey, he was honest. Okay. Are you a morning or a night person?
I hate the morning. I can't stand the morning, and I loathe my existence as a coach often.
How do you really
because
feel
the
like
morning
about
is
Clyde and I could
necessary.
both wake up at the crack of noon if left alone. I
That's
firmly
absolutely
believe that.
true.
Wow. Okay, what coach or coaches influenced your coaching style the most?
Oh, that's interesting. Not, I don't think anybody influenced my coaching style as far as X's and O's in any particular way. John Smith taught me a lot, and I keep a lot of the way John manages people and his ability to solve problems on the fly and not be beholden to the script. Those are very important things that I took from John and keep from John.
Okay.
And he's, to be succinct about it, that would probably be the biggest direct influence that I would have.
Okay. All right. What superpowers did you wish you had as a kid? As a child, I should say. Kid's a baby goat.
It honestly has never changed. I would love to be able to read people's minds, because if I can, that opens any other door that I want.
Okay. Tell us something about you that others would consider weird.
Weird?
Quirky.
Odd.
I mean, I guess my peers can easily disagree. I haven't gotten a lot of weird feedback in my life. Misunderstood for sure. I think people may find it weird to realize that I'm not nearly as cold-blooded as I may seem sometimes.
Agreed.
Okay. What do you feel is your greatest accomplishment to date?
Other than the obvious answer, which is becoming a father. Were you asking a professional question?
No, that's just whatever you want.
Oh yeah, no, it is Kai Madison Ryan.
All right. Oh, if they made a movie about your life, since you're gonna have Hollywood do it for you anyway, right?
Yeah.
Who are you gonna choose? Who are you gonna choose to direct it, and why?
I thought about this one for a while as well. Actually, I've gone back and forth about this a few times, and if you know anything about my life off the track, you know that I'm a huge movie fanatic. And like, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, I would probably want to do something in the Hollywood space. Like, it's literally kind of my second, love of things. So picking a director for this is actually hard. But, and I think the EP will appreciate this one. Given who I am, where I'm from, I would ultimately settle on Ryan Coogler.
Mm.
Good one.
Okay.
Good one.
Would
Oh,
you rather
said
be
and
the
why? The
and
his
why, yeah,
storytelling, his storytelling is next level, and he has a different eye given where he is from, which is obviously Oakland, California, the Bay Area.
Okay. Would you rather be the head of World Athletics or the president of a country?
Oof.
What country?
Yeah,
Any country.
That's the oof.
any country.
I think I would thoroughly enjoy either role, but I don't know what that was. I think I would thoroughly enjoy either role, but since I would not necessarily want to be literally responsible for the lives of so many humans, I'm going to pass on the president of a country, and I would thoroughly enjoy overhauling world athletics.
Okay. Do you have a bucket list?
I don't. I really don't. I have a kind of a travel list. And
Okay. Well, have you crossed anything, excuse me, off your travel list lately?
yes, I recently was given an opportunity to go to Northern Italy, Milan, Alba, and Torino, which that region of Italy is where my mother's side of the family descends from, and that was actually really, really dope, and appreciative of that trip. But in life, the only thing that's really ever been on my bucket list was to become a father, and Kai is here.
Okay. Tell
In the
us
right
one
setting.
thing.
In the right setting.
Okay. Tell us one thing you remember your mom always said to you when you were growing up. Excuse me.
No one is owed respect just because they're older than you.
Hmm.
And that's not necessarily a direct quote, but that was the gist of it. My mother is a teacher, and she's always carried herself in a way that garners respect, both socially, in her business, in her profession, and as my mother. And she never wanted to see her kids disrespected, and she never us put over us that we were just supposed to give respect to people because.
Okay. Who was your favorite track and field athlete growing up?
The first time I was really, really trying to pay attention to track and field, I liked Roger Kingdom, and ultimately that became Alan Johnson.
Okay. All right. So what is your favorite, and we're going to ask everybody this question. What is your favorite track and field performance that you've witnessed, like you were in the house for?
Witness, not necessarily directly responsible for.
That is witness. Like it can be something you were responsible for. That's what you want it to be.
No, I mean, that I was in person for. That I was in the building for is Sydney's world record in the 400 hurdles.
Okay.
That was stupid and
All
predicted.
right.
So I enjoyed that very much.
Big league.
What?
Same question. I said this is a question for everybody.
Oh,
She
I missed
said,
that part.
What?
The funnier part is
She's
I
back,
answered it for
ladies and
him.
gentlemen. She's back, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Lord.
It was Sid's race.
Dualistic behavior.
So
Yes.
it's funny, no, because I answered it when you asked him. I was like, "Oh, definitely Sid's," and then I don't know, I missed that part
And then
because
we
I
took
got
off.
there.
We just immediately took off for the moon right away. So
Definitely Sid's. I think part of it was because that was my first as well, and so like it has a lot of umph to it, and like seeing it replayed on video or whatnot, I'm like, oh, I can tell you where we were sitting in the stadium. I can tell you the sequence that the four of us plus Kai and T were sitting. So yeah.
okay. Governor.
The question was what in particular? Say that again. Say the question
What
again.
is your favorite track and field performance that you ever witnessed? Like you were in the stadium, you were in the
This is a story for the ages, so I'll condense it. Berlin, standing in the Adidas box. I have Maurice Green on one side, I have Donovan Bailey on the other side, and we witnessed the majesty of Usain Bolt. And I mean, two legends on either side of me, like we were kids. It was like we were kids for that moment. Like, what did we just witness? It was unbelievable. Yeah, that I still get chills thinking about that moment. Berlin was magical.
world champion.
You said you're a favorite, right?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. Because listen, I'm not going to do the subtle flex thing. I have been blessed to see quite a few of these things. Thank God.
And there goes the subtle flex.
I didn't.
That was just this. That was the
subtle
preface.
flex.
It was just one side, not both sides. Yeah.
Naming
Yeah, it wasn't
some of
both
them,
sides legit.
right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hold you, but I'm gonna
Right.
hold you.
But I'm a hold.
Yeah.
My favorite, and I can't believe that KST didn't say this. My favorite, without question, no doubt at all, is Jonathan Edwards, not one but two world records in the triple jump. And here's why. We were getting escorted off of the track. I don't know what event we had just finished and we were going to the restroom, right? So the resting room, they stopped us 25, 30 feet from the pit because Jonathan was on the runway. So I'm standing there. You can't be closer.
Right.
Like, unless I was raking the pit, right? You couldn't be any closer. And this dude landed. I was like, that looks really far. Like, I mean, like not far, but like way too far. And he just stands up like, because he knows. I was like, listen, I don't know how far that is, but it's really far. So that was, to me, it was the favorite because I had never heard of Jonathan Edwards.
Oh wow.
Okay.
At the time, right? Like,
right.
And listen, I'm not a racist, but it's a little white guy from Great Britain.
I'm not gonna hold you.
Come
But I'm gonna hold
down
you.
the runway, right?
I'm not gonna flex, but let me flex, right?
No, I'm just saying. Look, before we knew who Jonathan Edwards was, that's who Jonathan Edwards was.
He let you know who he was.
To your point, world champion. Both of those, both the long jump world record and the triple jump world record, I was there. Both of those situations were absolutely miserable. Like, I had just had two of the worst performances at the World Championship.
That changes it all, don't it?
I cannot say that was my favorite because I wanted no parts of that track.
Yeah, get me out of here as soon as
Get
possible.
me out of here, man.
All right. Well, speaking of getting out of here, that's going to wrap it up for this week. And we hope that you guys have enjoyed our shenanigans as always. We look forward to seeing you guys in 7 days. I know some of us are heading down to the USATF convention, and there will definitely be shenanigans there. We are aware of that. And So everybody be safe, be good, and we'll see you in 7 days.
Bye, everyone.